The second question your professor gave me was, how do you feel schools handled diversity in the past? That's the easy part to answer. And how will this book enhance the leadership skills of principals? I don't think we handled it very well at all. When I was growing up in Western Pennsylvania, I can remember one African American student that was in my school. It just wasn't the numbers. It wasn't the numbers in the northern schools anywhere where I lived. And in the southern schools, we didn't handle diversity very well when we had segregation. So the evolution of this school in getting ourselves comfortable with diversity, and I'll tell you the population that's really pushed us into doing it is my Hispanic population. I do not remember ever being in school with a Hispanic child that didn't speak English in all my years of education through high school. And now in my school in Northern Virginia, I have about a 30-30-30 mix. 30 Hispanic, 30 African American, 30 Caucasian, a few Asian mixed in it. So we didn't really make an effort to understand. And that's the big key word here. We didn't make an effort to understand the diversity. We might have gone with some phrases like, the United States is one big salad bowl. And that's kind of our way of getting away from saying, oh yeah, just blend in, just acculturate yourselves to our customs and our way of doing it, and we won't really, it's just one big mixing bowl. I think now we're taking a look at that. Instead of making everybody fit in, we're starting to honor the culture. I have tremendous support from my community, and I have tremendous turnout when I have those events that honor everyone's diversity. We do an international night where everybody gets to bring dishes from their countries. And then sometimes we just have singular events, like we had a big taco making event at school just for my Hispanic families, where they could come. We had translators that helped me speak to them in Spanish. And we had a big African American parents event that was well turned out. So I think what we need to do is try to make it a community of blended, but also be able to pull it apart and say, we're going to honor everybody's diversity, so that when there are culturally beautiful parts of every culture, we honor that. It wasn't politically correct at one time, maybe 10 years ago, to have a taco party, because you would hear, well, aren't your Hispanic parents going to feel like they're being ostracized or singled out? And you can't have an African American day, Parents' Day, because they all feel the same way. No, 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 no. I found it to be exactly the opposite. I found that when we have those days and cultures come together with their own culture, the conversation is rich, the discussion of the challenges that face them is more honest and open, and I think it makes them more willing to come together as a community. We do have a community at my school at Washington Mill. I'm still working on it. Is it perfect? No, it's not. But we're still working on it. But I found those courageous conversations where you can say, you know what, I am going to have a Hispanic night. We are going to pull one night and celebrate the Hispanic heritage in our school. Worked out very, very well for us. I think principals have to leave themselves open in the future to the possibilities of having courageous conversations and taking a look at not only the cultural diversity. I think we're working our way through that, maybe not as fast as I'd like to see it. I thought by the 60s we'd have this civil rights and racism and everything in the past. We're still working on it as a country. My biggest hurdle and my biggest fear is we won't come to grips with the poverty, the diversity in poverty. That's my biggest challenge in school. The rest of it I can work at. I can get translators, and I can help people see the value in every cultural diversity in our school. It's the economic diversity that gives me some struggle. How do I educate more affluent parents into my school of the needs of my children in poverty? Why do we have to have free busing for after-school programs? Why do after-school programs have to be free? Why do we have to take PTA meetings into the community? All those things are absolutely foreign to my more economically secure parents, and they present a challenge to me, as they will to you once you become school leaders. But you have to be able to face it. You have to be able to say to your more affluent parents, let's sit down and talk about it. Let me tell you what poverty looks like in my school when it's 50% poverty. Let me tell you that if I have after-school programs for children and charge them $100 to do mad science, that the only people that are going to be able to participate in that are the children who already have the advantage of being able to do those things without it being sponsored by the school. So I would say your biggest challenge is the economic challenge. Had we marched so strongly in the 60s for the civil rights of economics as much as we did for the civil rights of being able to vote and work, we would have overcome some of these barriers. Because my philosophy truly is, you can vote all you want, but if you can't read, if you can't understand, if you don't know who you're voting for, if you haven't been exposed to enough things because economics has deprived you from that exposure, it doesn't matter who you vote for. You're not voting intelligently, and it's not going to make a difference. I have seen many times when poor people have voted for someone just based on their culture, and they voted for people who were felons, cheaters, political people who have been in trouble with the law, but because they represented their culture, they voted for them. That's not an informed way of being, and believe me, at my age, I want to make sure that you all are taking care of the schools so that when I retire, I know that there's informed young people making sure that my elderly age and the age of all children coming up is well taken care of.